Welcome to Mayo Music. I am your host, Dan Pulaski. Mayo Music is an interview series where I chat with artists, musicians, and producers about their journey in the music industry. Today I spoke with Kasum, an EDM producer who burst on the scene in this past year. His tracks have already received over 1.5 million listens on SoundCloud and have received support from some of the biggest acts in EDM, including the Chainsmokers, Lucky Date, and Adventure Club. And one of his tracks was even featured on Cruella's Troll Mix. In the interview, we talk about his approach to learning how to produce while still releasing music. He tells us how he got his first 100,000 listens on SoundCloud. We discuss blogs, producer competitions, and his creative process. We talk about how he ended up opening for Blau and Carnage in just his first professional performance. And finally, we talk about his biggest mistake as a producer and how you can easily avoid it. Let's do it. So you started doing mashups first, and I think it was like your second one. It looked like you did pretty well. The second one did well. Tell me about that second mashup you did.
Okay, the second one bit lit, right?
Yes.
Okay, that I had, I think that I put that out about 2 weeks after I put out my first mashup, and I didn't really think very much of it, but apparently some people at fratmusic.com really liked it, and they featured it in their playlist, and it got a lot of play. It got a lot of plays from that. Not so much. Didn't really bring me any fans at all. I mean, up until last year, I had 200 fans. But it just brought me a lot of plays, and it was cool to sort of see how content can kind of go viral.
I see. So those two tracks, did you submit them to like Frat Music, or they just picked it up?
I didn't submit it to Frat Music. The only I used to have such a long list of blogs that I would submit to, and I don't think Frat Music was on it. I just think they picked up through a friend or something like that.
Okay. So did either of those you submitted it to that long list you were saying?
Yeah, and then I think just a friend of mine who may have worked at Frat Music saw it and did it, which was cool. Yeah, I really don't know very much about any of my content before my own up until Medicine Time. Like everything else before that was just me, a college student, just screwing around on my laptop.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I didn't really plan too many things out back then.
Gotcha. Okay, well that leads into my next question. Medicine Time obviously did really well. So tell me about that track. How you I guess started promoting it more seriously. Like what did you do there?
I actually didn't do anything different promo-wise, except I did send it to a few DJs just to get their feedback on it. That's really about it with the song. I mean, I remember listening to the Chainsmokers. It's a mashup between "It's Time" by Imagine Dragons and the Medicine Time remix of the Chainsmokers remix of Medicine Time, and I just thought the two work really well together, and that got picked up again by Frat Music, but it also got picked up by some. I just found out about this website called 8Track, and apparently it's just like it looks like a list of just playlists and stuff like that, and some big person on there who made a playlist featured my track in it, and that got me 100,000 views or something like that, which was really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so nothing too different, just branching out a little bit more, I guess.
Okay. So did you hit up that list of vlogs you were talking about, or?
I didn't. I searched, and I still can't find a contact for the person who is responsible for 100,000, my first 100,000 plays.
Oh, wow. And that was at A-Track, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Had you even heard of them, or they just picked it up?
I mean, I'd seen them, but I didn't really know much of it. I didn't realize that it's a great website for views, not so much interaction or like shares or anything like that. I mean, people will hear it on that site, but they won't necessarily be like, oh, let me go click on Kasum's Facebook or something like that. So it has its advantages and disadvantages.
Okay. So Medicine Time was a mashup. It did really well. Then your next track, you like completely transitioned to melodic dubstep. That was the Time Flies remix.
Uh-huh.
What happened there? Like why? Like your first mashup that did really well, and then all of a sudden you just changed. What happened there?
Um, I was starting. Other than the fact that when I tried to upload that, the Medicine Time the Medicine Time mashup, SoundCloud flagged me like 3 or 4 times.
Mm,
So I was kind of getting annoyed, and I was thinking, the mashup sort of era has boomed, like where these guys like Cap Slap, Blau, like where you could get famous from or be like really popular from a mashup. That era I feel like has kind of passed
mm,
almost altogether, and I just I didn't really want to make mashups anymore, and I wanted to just sort of focus on being me, I guess. And I knew nothing about music before then, um, or yeah, I knew nothing about music. I had no idea how to produce. I knew how to like put a vocal on top of a instrumental. That was about it. Um, but yeah, I did that. I I remixed that track because I felt like, oh, it's my first song. If I screw up badly, at least it's not like a classic that I'm screwing up or something like that.
mm.
So if it flopped, it would be okay. But it didn't flop, and I was shocked. It got a lot of blog support, um, and I tried to just keep everything as melodic as I could in it because I didn't know anything about like how to make like punchy or like powerful music. So I just sort of wrote melodies, and
Mhm.
it turned out well, I think.
Okay. So you did submit that one to some blogs, I take it?
Yes, yeah. It premiered on Fist in the Air a year and a week ago. A year and 1 week ago, it premiered on Fist in the Air.
Okay. How did you
Uh,
set that up? Did you just go through the demo submission or?
a friend of mine named Austria has been bouncing back and forth between a lot of big blogs, and I found out he was working at Fist in the Air, and I sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh, I have to get on this like right away."
Nice.
So that's sort of how that happened.
And then did the other blogs just follow because you're on there, or did you also submit to the other ones too?
I submitted to a few other ones, and it didn't get too much blog support, but it ended up getting 3,000 plays within the first week, which was a lot for me back then.
Where
And
were
that
you
was
at? Where were you at that time? Just to give it some perspective. Like what was kind of your, I guess the views on your or listens on your other ones and kind of your followers at that time.
okay. So follower wise, I had 200 fans on Facebook. I had like 30 people on Twitter uh, who followed me. I'm trying to think what else. Each post that I wrote on my Facebook page would get maybe one like if I was lucky.
Mhm. Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. I was talking more SoundCloud. Like where
More
were
SoundCloud.
you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, where
I'm
were your
sorry.
listens at and your followers on SoundCloud at?
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, that's all good.
I had 130 between 130 and 150 followers on SoundCloud. Um, in terms of listens, I think I was at a little more than 100,000, and that's really only because of Medicine Time
Right.
that I was there. The Medicine Time didn't really pick up steam until uh, mid mid June.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, nothing really impressive. I had a few of my mashups had uh, none of them were more than 20,000, I think, at that time.
Okay.
And then after that, they started to pick up a little bit slowly.
Okay. So the 4,000 just in that 1 week span was enough for you to say, oh, like, this
Like,
this
whoa, maybe.
experiment, I guess, was a success.
Yeah, like, oh wow, people are liking this. Like,
Hmm.
I made this in my bedroom, like, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So was it like a conscious decision beforehand that, hey, I'm gonna put this out in this kind of new style, and if it works, keep going with it? Did you think about that beforehand, or?
uh, well, are you just talking in terms of style, or like just making the whole track together altogether?
Style wise, yeah, because I mean it was a completely different, than the mashups, obviously, and it was your
Uh,
first track doing it, at melodic dubstep. Excuse me.
Style wise, I love progressive house and sort of like that melodic music, but I
Mhm.
knew I didn't have the production skills to make anything that sounded like really punchy, like in your face, like standard progressive house.
Mhm.
So I sort of stepped away, and I saw a tutorial on how to do like something like the that big sweep that Seven Lions has, or those big
Mhm.
synths. And I saw a tutorial online, and I thought this is really cool. So I tweaked around, I played around with it, and like I think it was 9 hours later, I had a a drop made, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, and I really like how this allows me to be really melodic. Um, and I don't see too many people doing melodic dubstep that sounds like this.
Mhm.
And I just sort of I kept with it, and I really was happy with how everything has turned out with it.
Mhm. So then you continued with this style since the Time Flies remix.
Hmm.
Um, and you think that's been a big factor in kind of your momentum right now, just like staying consistent with your style?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I definitely think consistency helps. Cons- Less about the genre, and for me, at least it's been less about the genre and more of the choices of songs that I've remixed.
Hmm.
Um, I've one blog said, "Oh, Kasum is back. The Prince of Nostalgia has risen again." Or like some people are really liking these nostalgic remixes, and I sort of feel like that was the groove that I was getting into,
Hmm.
which I'm slowly kind of getting out of, trying to get out of, but still do them occasionally.
Gotcha. Has it been difficult to, I guess, stick with that consistency and style and I guess song choice? Because I know I've spoken with producers before about this, and they'll say they'll sit down for a track, and when they sit down, the vision for the track is completely different than what it ends up at the very end. Um,
Yeah.
can you tell me a little bit about how you're able to kind of, I guess, confine yourself to, kind of not getting too crazy with it, I guess?
Um, I don't usually go in with a plan. The only plan that I'll have is just like the chords. I'll write the chords over the vocals, and
Mhm.
then then I'll just loop the chords over the entire vocal, like, and just listen all the way through. And if it sounds good all the way through, then I come back and I sort of I rewrite everything, just keeping that chord progression. And about a third of the way through, then I'll go for a walk. I'll be listening, and then I'll write down like ideas for things to do to it. So I guess I don't go in with a plan, but I come up with a plan halfway through or something like that.
Okay, gotcha. So we talked a little bit about blogs. The one Fist in the Air you had a friend at. The others you submitted. Have you tried any other techniques, or are there any blogs that you were like trying to get on that you just were like banging down their door and like couldn't get there, but then eventually you broke through?
Oh, almost every single blog that I'm being supported by right now, I they never gave me the time of day when when they didn't know of me, and that makes complete sense too because I
Hmm.
was making really crappy music back then. So there was, I mean, it makes sense for them not to really give me the time of day. But breaking through that barrier was very, very, very tough. Um, you said other methods that I've used to sort of break that barrier.
Yeah, I mean, how did you end up breaking that barrier? Was it just continuing to submit good music and getting better, or were there other things you did?
I think that had something to do with it, for sure. But also, I ended up reaching out to I stopped reaching out to the blogs and started reaching out directly to the writers, uh, and just became friends with them. I went in with not with the intention to like shoot them my music right away, but with the goal of trying to become friends with these people, learn a little bit, and then oh, if they were interested, maybe I could send them my songs. And
Mhm.
it ended up working out really well. And now I'm friends with these people who are supporting my music, and it makes it all even better.
Gotcha. You mind giving us a quick example of like what would you send to a writer at a blog that you think kind of covers the style of music, what would you say to them if you're not just, hey, here's my track? Like, how did you start that relationship?
Um, are you talking about like when I would reach out to writers, or
Yes,
when
yes.
okay, when I would reach out to writers, I wouldn't go in with a sort of a blind eye, I guess. Um, I'd be on a site that I'd want to be featured on, and if I came across a song that I really liked, I'd read the article that was with the song, and if I felt like the article was really well written, as well as the as well as this, and if the song was really good, I'd reach out to the author and I'd say, hey, my name's Brandon. I know you don't know me, but I just wanted to reach out and tell you I really, really liked the piece you did on so and so. Like, it's been stuck in my head all day.
Hmm.
And then just sort of ended up just chatting with more of them, mostly about the music scene, like concerts. Oh, what concerts have you been to and whatnot, like, and stuff like that. And then I guess at some point, if it's the day after, or if it's that day, or if it's a week later, they'll see something about me and music on my Facebook, like my personal Facebook,
Hmm.
and then they sometimes would ask, like, oh, you make music too? Send me something.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Did the
Um,
connection just die, or is that just me?
uh, no, I'm good on my end. You good?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. I want to talk briefly about live shows.
Okay.
Tell me about the first one, the first show you played, kind of how you set it up, and I guess where you at, kind of with your following online and stuff.
The first real show that I had was uh, it was in November. It was so I saw that Blau and Carnage were coming to New York. I'm sorry, coming to
Ah,
Boston,
so it was that show.
and it was that show. Yeah,
Oh wow,
I won the opportunity to open for Blau and Carnage, and that was my first show.
wow,
It
that's awesome.
was
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. Tell me about that. So that's amazing. So you won the competition, you're able to open for them, and it was your first show ever.
Yeah. I'd been a DJ since I
Hmm.
was 15, but I don't really consider like scratching at a prom to
Hmm.
to really be to call it a show, I guess. This was like the real first show where people came out to see me, and uh, it was really I kind of just blacked out during the whole thing, like not alcohol wise, just like mentally, just I don't remember really anything from it. It was just like I've been
Yeah.
working so hard to get somewhere like that since I've been that 15-year-old annoying DJ, and it just I sort of felt like it all came together there and felt really nice.
So what was the format of that contest? How did you end up winning it?
It was a like submit a mix and get your friends to vote, and so I did that. I made the mix. I got my friends to vote, and for the first time in my life, I had fans who voted for me. And I wasn't expecting people that I'd never met before to be rooting for me, and that really helped. And I ended up I was actually told a few days before that I lost by
Oh,
someone who worked there, um, and I was heartbroken, but I didn't stop. I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and well, the decision was changed, and I was thrilled with it.
that's awesome. Now you had one of your tracks featured on Cruella's podcast, Chill
Uh huh.
Mix.
Uh huh.
Was that also a competition?
Um, it was I don't even know actually. It was I guess you could say it was kind of a competition.
Mhm.
I just threw my song in there just cuz. I didn't do any promotion for it at all. And the light not the lighting sorry the art director Cruella's art director, which is a guy named Greg Fargo, who's a really nice guy. Um, he heard it and he sent it he just saw it like in the long list of people that were entered into this competition, and it was my Ocean Avenue remix, and he fell in love with he told me he fell in love with it and sent it straight over to Yasmin from Cruella, and I remember getting a message from a friend of mine named Wade who works in the Third Brain House in LA, and he's like, oh, by the way, Yasmin has been playing your Ocean Avenue remix uh, throughout the house all day, and my roommate can attest to this. I just started screaming. I just started yelling.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
So that one I guess wasn't really a competition. The opening for Blau and Carnage was like
mhm.
I know the whole competition thing is kind of like a I don't know if I'd say a touchy or subject for artists because some of them feel like it's asking a lot of their fans and they're hesitant
Yeah.
to do them. I mean, what's your stance? Is it kind of just where you're at in your career? It makes sense, and other times it
Exact.
doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. If you're if it definitely makes sense to if you think you can win, like if you really think you can win, then you should enter. If you're not like big or anything like that, or you don't already have a following, like you have a really good group of friends who won't mind voting for you, or you have
Mhm.
like a handful of fans that actually really like your music and like you as a person. If you're at that point and you think you can win, and you don't have it's not going to cost you a lot of money, like you don't have to drive like 27 hours or something like that to get to the place, then yes, I think you should do it. Um, but it will just annoy fans if you don't win, though. I feel like it will really just annoy people because for a week or 2 weeks, all you're doing is just promoting this, and for you not to win, it's a pretty big blow. I feel like, um,
Gotcha.
but
So I mean,
yeah.
I guess maybe to give. So I mean, would you consider doing a competition today, or are you kind of you feel like you're kind of past doing those, or does it
um,
just depend on the format and stuff?
well, the reason I entered that competition was because I really wanted to play a live show. I hadn't played one yet. Um, I'm not so much into doing competitions now, just for the sole reason that I'm more focused on putting out great music than I am at trying to get shows. And most of these competitions are for shows. Um, or if they're not for shows, they're either like these remix contests, like these Beatport remix contests, and it always seems someone who makes big room wins them. So I mean, if it's a song that I fall in love with, then I'll do it. But I'm at the point where I am just worried about getting great music out there as fast as I can, and not so much promoting a DJ contest.
Gotcha. So I know Seven Lions. You mentioned earlier was an inspiration for you, and obviously you can hear it in your sound. It's very much your songs are very much your own, but you can hear his influence. Like I know a lot of artists who you know try to sound like their favorite artists, but then end up not quite getting there.
Uh
And
huh.
like, how have you kind of, I think the biggest thing is your song choice that
Hmm.
really puts your own feel to it. Is there anything else that you've done to kind of say, oh, here's what Seven's doing, here's what I'm doing with a twist, or kind of making it your own?
I just gave up on trying to be Seven Lions. He's too good. He is so good. Um, and I ended up just sort of trying to hone in on being more me rather than Seven Lions. I take a ton of inspiration from Seven Lions. He's just he comes from a trance background, and every single sound is so intricate in every single one of his songs. And I'm not all about like the intricacy and the complexity of these things. I just wanna make great melodies, like come up with some really cool sounds, put them together in a way that organize chaos, I guess. I just want everything to sound like it should be there, and just focus on like the big elements, I guess. There's always like a big piano in all my songs and stuff like that. Um, I'm not really big into like pads and stuff like that a lot of producers do. I like to put as much real instrumentation in there as I can, and I guess that's how I've just been trying to find my sound. It's
Okay,
and I feel like I'm starting to find it a lot now.
gotcha. I heard a story in one of your other interviews that you basically pretended you worked for a blog to be a photographer to get backstage
Yeah.
passes to, to get stage access to some concerts. Um,
Yeah.
So have you done like I love that. Like is there anything else you've done that I guess would be considered like music career hacks or kind of things like that that
Um, hacks.
I mean maybe that's not the right word, but you know.
Or just no, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think. Not really. That was sort of it for me. The reason I lied to these blogs about my or these I emailed these managers
Mhm.
of these artists and told them I work for these big blogs, and they didn't check anything. They're like, okay, we'll give them an all access pass or something. And I did that because I wanted to make friends with the artists. I wanted to. This was my freshman year. Um, I wanted to make friends with the artists, the managers, get their contact info, so that later on down the line, if I decided to make music, I'd have this Rolodex that I could just sort of open up, and I'd have people that I could hopefully be able to get some feedback from.
Mhm.
But that's the only hack I guess that I've done. Um, my one of my best friends is a police officer, so he just if we go to concerts together, he just shows his badge, and that acts as an all access pass. But other than that, that's about it.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, I got two more questions for you and then we'll
All
wrap
right.
up. Um,
Okay.
Tell me about one of the biggest mistakes you feel like you've made so far in your
Oh,
short
good
career
question. Biggest mistake that I've made?
that you would just hate to see another producer make.
Um, releasing a song that isn't perfect or that you don't think is perfect. And there's one that my Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I remember I had a premiere on some site, and I remember the writer is like, we gotta post it in 20 minutes or like 45 minutes, and I still had like 3 hours worth of work to do on it. Kind of just hit me out of the blue, and I compromised the sound, I guess, for a blogger. And I don't think compromising your sound should ever sort of come into play. I really don't think it is. Make music for you. That's Make music that makes you happy. Um, that you would feel proud. If Hardwell came up to you and said, "Hey, show me some songs that you've made," I never want to be like, "Oh, here's my SoundCloud. Just don't listen to this one. They're all great except for this one." I want to be like, choose anyone, and it will be the best that I can make at that time. And that putting that out, like rushing to finish that is really the biggest mistake that I feel that I've had in terms of this.
Gotcha. When you're doing that, do you ever feel like pressure to put something out? Like, you know, you haven't put anything out for a few months or whatever. I mean, and you're like, oh, I really want to get this done and get it out to my fans. Like, how do you balance that, or has that not really
That
been an issue?
that is very tough. I've been having like 1 or 2 month gaps between songs now, and I don't like that. I want to start doing like a song every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, just to keep that momentum going. Uh, but yeah, the pressure to put out a song is it dawns on me a lot. But I've made so many songs. I've made I think 7 songs since I put out my John Legend remix, and there's only 2 out of those 7 that I'm gonna put out. The first one was the In Too Deep one, and then
Mhm.
another one which I can't say who it's for yet, but it's supposed. Hopefully, if it gets cleared, it will be an official release. But it takes a long time and there's a lot of pressure. But at the end of the day, I've gotten a lot better at saying, look, like I have a finished song, but it's not better than the last one I made. So why should I put it out? I try to make each song as good, if not better than the last one I put out.
Gotcha. Now tell me one thing that you feel like you've done really well so far. Something you know other producers can look at and maybe apply to their own careers.
Um, I feel like I did something that no one else did. I Hard to say this without sounding a little bit narcissistic, but I really feel that I saw everyone doing these rap remixes or these rap mashups or like these. When people said throwback, the first thing that popped into my mind was like old school rap and stuff like that. And I personally don't listen to that type of rap or really rap in general. But I saw no one was remixing punk rock songs or rock songs or any of that. And I remember having a conversation with Synchronize, these two great producers out of New Jersey, a year ago, like before I started making. This is right after I put out my "I Choose You," my Time Flies remix. I said, I think I don't see anyone doing like rock remixes. I think I want to do some rock remixes, and they said, you know what, that's a great idea. No one else is doing them, and I did it in a style that I felt not a lot of people were doing either, and I made it my own, and I tugged at the heartstrings of people. So while I was becoming a better producer, I let me step back. Sorry. While I was sorry, I'm all over the place.
No, it's good, man. Keep going.
So I knew going into it that my production wasn't going to be near where like other producers are right now. So I needed sort of a like an edge or a gimmick, I guess you could say, to get people to click the song. Because if they clicked the song and if it was half decent, I felt like people would enjoy it. So that's what I did. I used All Star basically as a or All Star or Boulevard of Broken Dreams as the hook, and what started off as a gimmick ended up turning into something that I loved. I loved completely flipping a tune on its head. Like I keep almost nothing from the original song except the acapella or except just the vocals, and I feel like that allows me to not only express who I am as an artist, but it's relatable to people because they hear those vocals that they heard on their bus rides to middle school when they were younger, and it brings them back. My goal is to get your favorite song stuck in your head all over again, and I feel like I've been doing an okay job at that, and I'm really proud of that.
That's excellent, man. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on. That concludes the interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one.
You too.